Today we are overclocking Raspberry Pi 4. The stock frequency of the BCM2711 chip is 1.5 GHz. We will try to overclock it over 2 GHz. For overclocking it, you need to have a good cooling solution because the chip is going to get hot and we are going to do some over voltage. So my Raspberry Pi has very robust cooling with 2 fans, and another thing which you need to have for that is a good power supply. Regular USB charger will not be sufficient because it provides 5 volts and under load it provides less. Raspberry Pi original power supply provides 5.1 volt. So if you want to overclock it, you need to use the original one. So let's try to do the settings and measure the performance. Stay with us. I'll show the scripts I used for performance testing. I wrote those 2 scripts. First, very simple, it's temperature. What it does, it reads the CPU temperature, the GPU temperature, and displays them. Pretty simple. And another one for performance. I use Sysbench to test the CPU performance. I run 2 tests. One is single-threaded and one is 4 threads because the CPU has 4 cores. So I measure the temperature before the test and after the test, and also display the CPU frequency. First thing first, updating Raspberry Pi 4 firmware. apt install, RPI update. Yeah, here we go, the new firmware was installed. Now we'll reboot our system. Now let's measure the original performance before the overclocking. Let's see the temperature. Okay. And now let's run performance test. We run single-threaded and then multi-threaded. And now let's overclock the Raspberry 4. Let's edit the file bootconfig.txt. We need uncomment RM frequency. We'll change it to 2 GHz. We need overvolt the CPU. And we also overclock the GPU to 750 MHz instead of the original 500. Let's reboot and see what happens. Okay, the system has booted. Let's see how it works. Okay, that's the temperature before the test. Let's run the test. Single and multi-threaded. Okay, the test has finished. We can see higher temperature than after the test with the non-overclocked. Let's try push the limit even harder. Let's edit the file again. And we'll put the maximal. Let's see if it works. If you push your Raspberry too hard, it won't boot, or it may crash or overheat, or different issues may occur. So in this case, when we push it too hard, my Raspberry Pi just won't boot. So in order to restore it to functional state, what we need to do is remove the SD card, put it in the computer, and change the configuration. So let's revert it back to 2 GHz. And save. Let's try to boot. Let's insert the SD card. Like this. Let's connect it to the network. Let's give it some power. And let's see if it boots. The system has booted. Let's try run the performance test and see what happens. Yeah, after some rest, the initial temperature was a little bit lower. Yeah, the test has finished. So what we see from here is that we can overclock the Raspberry, just not push the limit too hard, and we need a good cooling solution, and it does significant amount of performance upgrade. As you can see, it's pretty easy to overclock Raspberry Pi 4 just by editing one configuration file. So, did you overclock your Raspberry? Which model do you have? Please share it with us in comments. Please subscribe to get notifications for our new videos. See you soon!